Confessions 12. I closed our eyes, and a great wave of sorrow surged into my heart. It would have overflowed in tears if I had not made a strong effort of will and stemmed the flow, so that the tears dried in my eyes. What a terrible struggle it was to hold them back. As she breathed her last, the boy Audiodatus began to wail aloud, and only ceased his cries when we all checked him. I too felt that I wanted to cry like a child, but a more mature voice within me, the voice of my heart, bade me keep my sobs in check, and I remained silent. For we did not think it right to mock my mother's death with weeping and moaning, because such lamentations are the usual accompaniment of death when it is thought of as a state of misery or as total extinction. But she had not died in misery, nor had she wholly died. Of this we were certain, both because we knew what a holy life she had led, and also because our faith was real and we had sure reasons not to doubt it. What was it then that caused me such deep sorrow? It can only have been because the wound was fresh, the wound I had received when our life together, which had been so precious and so dear to me, was suddenly cut off. I found comfort in the memory that as I did what I could for my mother in the last stages of her illness, she had caressed me and said that I was a good son to her. With great emotion, she told me that she could not remember ever having heard me speak a single hard or disrespectful word against her. And yet, O God, who made us both, how could there be any comparison between the honor which I showed to her and the devoted service she had given me? It was because I was now bereft of all the comfort I had had from her that my soul was wounded and my life seemed shattered, for her life and mine had been as one. When we had succeeded in quieting Audiodatus, Evodius took up a psaltery and began to sing the psalm, "Of mercy and justice my song shall be, a psalm in thy honor, Lord." And the whole house sang the responses. On hearing what was happening, many of our brothers in the faith and many pious women came to us, and while those whose duty it was made arrangements for the funeral, I remained in another room where I could talk without irreverence and converse with friends on matters suitable to the occasion, for they did not think it right to leave me to myself. These words of truth were the salve with which I soothed my pain. You knew, O Lord, how I suffered, but my friends did not, and as they listened intently to my words, they thought that I had no sense of grief. But in your ears, where none of them could hear, I blamed myself for my tender feelings. I fought against the wave of sorrow, and for a while it receded, but then it swept upon me again with full force. It did not bring me to tears, and no sign of it showed in my face, but I knew well enough what I was stifling in my heart. It was misery to feel myself so weak a victim of these human emotions, although we cannot escape them since they are the natural lot of mankind. And so I had the added sorrow of being grieved by my own feelings, so that I was tormented by a twofold agony. When the body was carried out for burial, I went and returned without a tear. I did not weep even during the prayers which we recited while the sacrifice of our redemption was offered for my mother, and her body rested by the grave before it was laid in the earth, as is the custom there. Yet all that day I was secretly weighed down with grief. With all my heart I begged you to heal my sorrow, but you did not grant my prayer. I believe that this was because you wished to impress upon my memory, if only by this one lesson, how firmly the mind is gripped in the bonds of habit, even when it is nourished on the word of truth. I thought I would go to the baths, because I had been told that the Latin name for them was derived from the Greek balaneion, so called because bathing rids the mind of anxiety. And I acknowledge your mercy in this too, O Father of orphans, for I went to the baths and came back in the same state as before. Water could not wash away the bitter grief from my heart. Then I went to sleep and woke up to find that the rest had brought me some relief from my sorrow. As I lay alone in bed, I remembered the verses of your servant Ambrose and realized the truth of them. Deus creator omnium, polique erector vestiens, diem decoro lumine, noctem sopora gratia, artus solutos ut quies, redat laboris usui, mentesque fessas alevet, luctusque solvat anxios. Maker of all things, God most high, great ruler of the starry sky, who robing day with beauteous light, hast clothed in soft repose the night, that sleep may wearied limbs restore, and fit for toil and use once more, may gently soothe the careworn breast, and lull our anxious griefs to rest. Then little by little my old feelings about your handmaid came back to me. I thought of her devoted love for you and the tenderness and patience she had shown to me, like the holy woman that she was. Of all this I found myself suddenly deprived, and it was a comfort to me to weep for her and for myself, and to offer my tears to you for her sake and for mine. The tears which I had been holding back streamed down, and I let them flow as freely as they would, making of them a pillow for my heart. On them it rested, for my weeping sounded in your ears alone, not in the ears of men who might have misconstrued it and despised it. And now, O Lord, I make you my confession in this book. Let any man read it who will. Let him understand it as he will. And if he finds that I sinned by weeping for my mother, even if only for a fraction of an hour, let him not mock at me. For this was the mother, now dead and hidden a while from my sight, who had wept over me for many years, so that I might live in your sight. Let him not mock at me, but weep himself, if his charity is great. Let him weep for my sins to you, the Father of all the brothers of your Christ.